Hi, good morning. Today we're going to talk about Blink Twice with full spoilers because my friend and I saw this movie on Sunday and we tried to look up reviews afterward, but everybody was only talking around what happened in the movie. We couldn't find any spoiler talk, so I figured I'd make my own video. If you haven't seen the movie yet, click off now because I'm going to get right into spoilers. Also, trigger warning, bad stuff happens in this movie. So, content warning, trigger warning. The movie follows Frida as she joins tech billionaire Slater King on an island vacation that seems too good to be true because it literally is. The horrifying reveal of the movie is that Slater King and his buddies are drugging women with a perfume that erases their memories. Well, why would they need to erase their memories? Oh, because the men are monsters that are assaulting the women every night. Luckily, we don't have to deal with a bunch of drawn-out, gratuitous scenes of the abuse. It's mostly implied, and then there is one scene that makes it clear enough what's going on. It's hard to watch, and even if you look away, you still hear one of the women just wailing at the top of her lungs, which brings out the worst part to me. This is a situation brought about so intentionally. Slater King and his friends have specifically found this workaround to be able to assault fully conscious, sobbing, screaming women against their will, and then erase their memories so they show up smiling to brunch the next morning. It's fucked up, which is like the point. And Slater King even says at one point when he's encouraging his therapist to assault Frida, he says that the worse it is, the more they forget it. Fucking insane, dude. So the movie starts with Frida being all fascinated with Slater King and his billionaire lifestyle to the point that she comes up with the plan to get his attention at an event where she's working as a waitress. And with her best friend Jess, they get invited to vacation on his remote island with his buddies and a few other women. But it's fine because Jess is there and there's other women in the friend group, so it's all good. There's safety in numbers. It does get a little weird when they have to hand over their phones, but they do it. And Jess wonders if it's weird that there's clothes set out for them, which is valid because they were literally invited at the last second, so why would they know to have that stuff available? But Frida brushes it off as just rich people things. Everyone is having a blast in a way that I cannot relate to. Heading off to an island where you spend all day lounging around outside, getting high and sipping champagne sounds so boring and miserable to me, but everybody's having fun until one night, Frida notices before bed that the stain on her dress from earlier in the evening is just gone. And then she keeps waking up with dirt under her nails, but she doesn't think anything of it until one day when she notices Jess is missing. It turns out after Jess was bitten by a snake whose venom counteracted the perfume, meaning she remembered everything that was happening, the men killed her. The only reason Frida remembers her is because this worker woman, who keeps repeating the words red rabbit for some reason, gives her a swig of snake venom. When Frida brings up Jess to the other women, they don't remember her, but Sarah has Jess's lighter, so she's like, not to be a bitch, I feel like I would remember a whole other person, but also I don't remember her and I have the lighter with her name on it, so what's going on? And something Slater King does throughout the movie is ask, are you having a good time? To prompt the woman to reiterate over and over that she is having a good time, almost to get ahead of any doubt or bad gut feelings that she might start to have, because Sarah explains to Frida that she thinks she's having a good time, but also that she's not. And it's like a trauma lives in the body kind of thing, where her memories are being chemically repressed, but her body is still reeling from what's being done to her, and she can feel that, but she doesn't know how to square that with not remembering anything. So Sarah takes a shot of snake venom, and they feed tequila venom shots to the other girls, but when the men return from boating or something, I don't care. Frida and Sarah have to pretend like everything is perfectly fine because they're literally trapped on an island with these strange men, and they don't have a plan to escape. I know the movie is a psychological thriller, but to me, it is just a horror because it is horrifying thinking about these two women now having full recollection of being repeatedly assaulted, knowing that they're trapped, knowing that Jess was murdered for remembering what they now remember, and still having to play along like they're having a good time. I could not imagine. I could not imagine. I could not. Couldn't imagine. Could not imagine. Once the other girls remember, violence ensues and people die, and it ends up with King monologuing to a tied-up Frida in his room. He talks about forgetting being a gift and says that his sister would be better off forgetting because apparently they were both assaulted as kids by a man that King still plays tennis with, which is a little confusing because one, I don't care what happened to him. He's done shit so heinous, it literally doesn't matter. And 2, his sister is the woman that lashed out at Frida after she felt the effects of the tequila venom shots and said that she didn't want to remember. She told Frida that men are going to do what they're going to do and it's better to forget, which sucks. But also, why would King say that she'd be better off forgetting if she had already forgotten? I don't know. I don't care. They both suck. Anyway, Frida finds out that she's been to the island before, she's been assaulted before, she's been made to forget before, and she actually got the scar on her face from King the last time she was there. And he had asked her this time how she got the scar, and she told him she didn't know, but he knew. When he asked her, he knew he did that to her. Which takes it to another level. Like, not only is he doing all of this bad shit, but on top of it, he is reveling in the fact that he knows things she doesn't remember. In his monologue about forgetting, he says that forgiveness isn't real, and he screams, "I'm sorry," over and over. And personally, I don't know what I'm supposed to take from this. Like, am I supposed to believe that he believes he's sorry? Or is he just flat out faking? I don't know. I don't care. Eventually, Frida gets loose and doses his vape juice with the memory-erasing chemical, which just melts his brain. The room catches on fire, and Sarah and Frida escape, with Frida pulling Slater King to safety so that she can take over his empire, dosing him to keep him complacent. Or complicit. Complacent or complicit? Complicit would be like complicit in a crime. And I guess if they're billionaires, they probably are doing crimes, but complacent is like going along with it. Complacent. And that's the movie. I like the detail of the workers having a language barrier. Maybe that's just realistic for private island estates, I wouldn't know. But it adds to the isolation of the guests on the island. Like, even if the workers wanted to warn the women, even if they knew what was going on, they're pretty limited in communicating with them. In the beginning, one of the workers stares at Frida, and by the end, we realize it might be because he actually vaguely recognizes her. And then the older woman who keeps saying Red Rabbit recognizes Frida from the last time she was on the island when she had red rabbits painted on her nails. And she's the one that gives Frida the snake venom to help her realize what's happening, making her the actual hero of this story. She's the one that sets things in motion, literally down to catching the snakes to extract their venom. She's the hero, and that's why she gets a good laugh when the estate goes up in flames. It was also interesting when Frida and Sarah realized that they were each invited to tag along. Neither of them were part of an established friend group. Of course, Frida already desperately wanted a vacation, but it was way easier to get on that plane with a group of random men when she had her best friend with her and also believed that the other women knew the men they were hanging out with. On the topic of trusting other women to alert each other of abusive men, Blink Twice had some of what I wanted from Don't Worry Darling. In my Don't Worry... where did the sun go? In my Don't Worry Darling video, I said that the women actually being abducted and brainwashed to forget their normal lives instead of just being trapped in a simulation would have worked better for me, and Blink Twice kind of proves I was right. In Don't Worry Darling, the tech was really distracting for me. It was introduced late, and I immediately had so many questions about it and exactly how it worked. But in Blink Twice, it was pretty easy for me to accept that there's a chemical that interferes with traumatic memory, which can be counteracted by snake venom. That's easy enough for me. Some people have questioned it like on Reddit, but I'm like, it's not asking you to believe a lot. Don't Worry Darling wanted you to believe there's a whole simulation that could just be protected into your eyes like this, and like someone has to keep your body alive and you just have no idea what's going on. How does that work? Was Alice's consciousness in the simulation? No. That technology didn't make any sense. It was too much. It was introduced too late. You're telling me that all of these women in Don't Worry Darling they're removed from their lives. Nobody has contact with them. And they're in this simulation that already... I hate Don't Worry Darling. I hate Don't Worry Darling. I hate it. I watched the trailer once, and going into the movie, I knew that Frida and Jess would go to the island. I knew Jess would disappear. I knew that the women would forget things, and then all hell would break loose. The only unknowns were how they would forget things and how they would survive at the end. So with the perfume and snakes both being introduced early on, it was really easy for me to be like, okay, so the perfume messes with their memories and snake venom inhibits the effects. That's fine, and actually so insidious because it's like putting the women in a position to drug themselves. The complexity of the abuse in this movie with all its different layers is crazy. It's so horrific in so many different ways. Like, I rewatched the trailer, and when the one guy takes a picture of everybody when they first arrive, he says, "Everybody say, making memories." That is so fucked up. That is a super fucked up thing to say, knowing what he's about to do. And then when they all have to hand over their phones and Jess is rightfully hesitant, Slater King tells her, "You don't have to do anything you don't want to do." Oh my God. How many of the comments in this movie are just sinister inside jokes between the men poking fun at the fact that the women don't know what's going on? I think I definitely have to rewatch this movie just to count up all their shitty little comments. Oh, and it was directed by Zoe Kravitz, so that's cool. Good for her. She did a good job. But maybe somebody could explain to me what I'm supposed to make of the therapist guy. Like, he did blink twice to indicate that Frida was in danger, but was he actually warning her, or was he kidding? Because he later gets involved on the island. I do think I have to rewatch to see his reaction when she recognizes him the following morning, as if she recognized him from the night before when she was actually recognizing him from the event. I don't know why I'm comparing them, but Blink Twice is like the opposite of Don't Worry Darling, where I want to rewatch it immediately as opposed to never again.